So looking at the thumbnail, you probably figured out what today's topic is: the longest battle in World War I. You might be curious about which battle it was and how it turned into the longest battle, right? Okay, this battle is called the Battle of Verdun, fought in 1916, and stands as one of the most brutal and longest battles of World War I. This clash saw the French army resisting a relentless German offensive in a fight that cost hundreds of thousands of lives. General Erich von Falkenhayn, leading Germany's strategy, aimed to drain France of its strength through sheer attrition. The fortress city of Verdun became the heart of this deadly struggle. Now the questions are, why did the Germans choose Verdun as their target? How did this battle stretch on for nearly a year? What was Falkenhayn's plan? And why did he believe this strategy could break France? Yeah, so many questions, I get it. But to really get a handle on this topic, we've got to cover all of them. Now, without any ado, let's just jump right in. The French and German armies fought the Battle of Verdun from February 21st to December 18th, 1916. The French army managed to repel a massive German offensive, but the cost was staggering, with around 400,000 French casualties and 350,000 on the German side. Out of those, about 300,000 were killed, making this battle one of the bloodiest in history. Falkenhayn believed that France held the key to winning the war. He thought a strategy of slowly wearing down the French army would force them to collapse. In a letter to Emperor William II in 1915, Falkenhayn explained that while Britain was the strongest of the Allies, it couldn't be attacked directly. Instead, he saw France as Britain's greatest support and decided to target it. According to Falkenhayn, there was no need for a massive breakthrough. Instead, Germany could bleed France dry by attacking a point they couldn't afford to lose. This is why Verdun, with its fortresses and defences along the Meuse River, became the chosen target. The city was critical because it threatened Germany's communication lines and stood as a proud symbol for the French. Losing Verdun would have crushed French morale. By January 1916, French airmen had already noticed German preparations near Verdun. Then, on February 11th, a French intelligence officer confirmed a build-up of German troops on the right bank of the Meuse River. Yet French commanders had been so focused on their own offensive plans that they were almost caught off guard. Scrambling to respond, they quickly moved thousands of soldiers and dozens of artillery guns to bolster Verdun's defences. However, moving supplies was no easy task, since the main rail lines to Verdun were either destroyed or under constant German shell fire. To solve this, the French organised a motorised supply chain, using more than 3,000 trucks to ferry troops and equipment. Just days later, on February 21st at 7:15 a.m, the Germans launched their assault with a massive artillery bombardment. The shelling stretched across a 25-mile front, devastating everything in its path. By the afternoon, German scouts began probing French defences to assess the damage. If they encountered resistance, they would call for more shell fire before advancing further. By the end of the day, the Germans had already captured the Bois d'Aumont and pushed deep into the French lines. The following days saw heavy fighting, with French forces desperately counter-attacking but unable to hold their ground. Villages like Haumont and others nearby were destroyed as the Germans pressed forward. By February 23rd, the Germans had overrun the French's first line of defences, and both sides scrambled to bring reinforcements. French troops in exposed positions were quickly wiped out, and the Germans continued advancing. On February 24th, they captured Beaumont and other key areas, setting their sights on Fort Douaumont. Though the Germans were briefly slowed by French artillery fire, they managed to break through the second line of defences, solidifying their gains. That night, a major shift occurred in leadership. General Joffre, known as the Victor of the Marne, was replaced by General Philippe Pétain, who would go on to lead the French forces at Verdun. General Pétain arrived with fresh troops from the French Second Army and took command of defending the right bank of the Meuse on February 25th. At first, the plan was to focus French forces on the left bank to stop a German crossing. However, the High Command soon decided they must hold a new defensive line, stretching from the heights east of the Meuse to the village of Douaumont, no matter the cost. As the French scrambled to reorganize, the Germans captured Fort Douaumont, the strongest fortress near Verdun. Retaking it would take 8 long months and countless lives. Even so, French resistance grew stronger in the days that followed, and the German advance began to slow. Pétain made several changes, including bringing hundreds of artillery pieces and setting up telephone lines to coordinate the batteries. French pilots regained control of the skies, adding to the defense. From February 26th to 29th, 500,000 German soldiers attacked Douaumont village, but the French held firm, refusing to give up ground. The Germans failed to win quickly at Verdun and soon realized the British were preparing for the Somme. They kept fighting fiercely to delay the Allied attack. Meanwhile, the French had to defend Verdun while also preparing for the Somme, hoping to weaken the Germans before summer. On March 4th, the Germans took Douaumont village, destroying it completely. They then pushed to the west bank of the Meuse, capturing key positions like Hill-de-Loire and the Bois de Cumières. By mid-March, they had gained part of Le Mort-Homme, but neither side could hold the highest point. The battle continued on both sides of the Meuse. The Germans attacked but struggled to make significant progress. By late March, they had pushed the French back, though their gains were limited. In April, both sides made small gains, but neither could secure a decisive victory. In May, the Germans captured Cumières, but lost ground after a French counterattack. As the Somme offensive approached, both sides felt increasing pressure to end the battle. In June, the Germans captured positions like Vaux and Thiaumont, but failed to push further. The French, though suffering great losses, regained a small section of trenches at Le Mort-Homme. Meanwhile, the Germans were forced to shift focus due to a Russian offensive in June. Back at Verdun, they tried again on the right bank, capturing Fleury and advancing towards Souville. But their progress stalled. By late June, Pétain was told to hold the right bank at all costs, even as the situation grew desperate. The Battle of Verdun continued as the Allies prepared for the Somme, starting with a heavy artillery barrage on June 24th. The British suffered huge losses on July 1st, while the Germans launched more attacks on Verdun, which failed by the end of September, marking the end of the battle's active phase. From February to June, the French and Germans exchanged heavy artillery and troop deployments, but the front lines hardly changed. In September, General Charles Mangin proposed an attack to retake Verdun, which succeeded in October with the recapture of Douaumont and 6,000 prisoners. Mangin planned another assault in December, but bad weather delayed it. The Germans attacked first, capturing Hill 304, but the French launched their offensive on December 15th, retaking Poivre Hill and capturing over 9,000 prisoners. The battle ended on December 18th with the French victory at Louvemont. The Battle of Verdun in 1916 left over 700,000 casualties, including 300,000 killed, and destroyed 9 villages. These villages were remembered as dying for France and managed by mayors despite being uninhabited. The remains of 150,000 unidentified soldiers are honoured at the Douaumont ossuary. A 65 square mile area around Verdun was marked as a red zone due to unexploded shells. Over 10 million shells remained, and 40 tons were cleared each year. Chemical shells, still toxic, posed a danger and would take centuries to fully clear. What do you think about the Battle of Verdun? Do you believe the Germans' strategy could have worked? How do you think the French managed to hold on for so long despite the odds? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in our next video. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.